Hello guys, this is Adrian.
This is Matt.
And with Halloween coming, we decided what better way to celebrate than reading Dracula. You know, the story about the real OG vampire himself.
Yes, Dracula. Well, it's pretty much a story for you gothic horror fanatics, written by Bram Stoker. And this book follows the three major characters: Jonathan Harker, his fiancée Mina, and Dr. Seward. And the story goes over their battle with the Count himself.
Yeah, along the way there's other characters. Given there's Dracula, he has 3 wives, and Van Helsing is another one who helps fight against.
And don't forget about Quincy Morris.
Yeah, Quincy Morris. He's a minor character.
But still, he helped.
And so the story goes on, starting with Jonathan Harker writing journals about how he's invited to Castle Dracula to help Dracula with some business. Turns out that real estate investment he wanted to do in England wasn't just strictly for real estate.
It's something darker, I guess is what you can say.
And by darker, we mean kind of like raise an army of the undead, blood-sucking vampires, you know, creatures and terrors of the night.
And that's just the tip of the iceberg, probably.
You want to find out more? Well, we can't spoilers, guys.
Yeah, well, you read the book. All right. Anyway, here's some of my opinion. Here's some of Matty Boy's opinions on this tale. All right. So first off, you know, I like the dark feeling the book had with it for a horror story. You know, that dark feeling, kind of like, oh, things are probably going to go as planned. I like the vampires and how they're true to a lot of the lore that's been floating around. Not that sparkly vampires that, you know, in recent movie productions. Another thing that was pretty cool is the different perspectives. You know, it gives you like who thought of what at the time, or what was going on while Jonathan was doing this, or what was Mina doing while Dr. Seward was doing that. What was Van Helsing doing with each of the characters, and of course the side characters as well, which also added on to the plot. You know, made it feel more authentic that there were also other characters there. Well, and you know, there's dislikes. You know, not all, you know, books have their, what do you call it? Like they're not all, you know, have like this is a really good book because of all these pros. But here's some of the cons: the progression of the story. Can you agree that the story is kind of slow?
Yeah.
In the beginning,
yeah.
It's slow. You know, it's like, and plus, it's like you're reading one part and you're getting really into it when things start moving along, but then it automatically, when you go to the next chapter or you turn the page, it's someone else's journal entry, and you gotta wait, you know, another like 5-6 pages until someone else's part. But then you get really deep into that, and so it's really conflicting. And of course, the one thing I was really hoping would be in a Dracula story was, you know, more blood, you know, more people getting killed or whatever. There's only like, how many people dying? 3?
I'm not really sure on that. You can't count them all.
There wasn't as much death as I thought there was going to be for Dracula's tale. What are your thoughts on the book, Adrian?
Oh, so my likes, so definitely like the horror suspense that came with it, you know,
right.
Chasing down vampires,
Right.
or not the vampires, Dracula. Another thing was the characters really liked the inclusion of Van Helsing in there. Vampires! You know,
right.
I thought that was awesome. You know, vampires are really cool.
Well, it's a Dracula story. How does it have vampires?
Well, would it be Dracula if it wasn't vampires?
Yeah.
That's kind of why I like Twilight's lane. You have vampires and no Dracula.
Yeah,
That's what happens. That's what happens when you have vampires without Dracula. You become all sparkly and glittery.
And dumb.
Yeah.
Yep.
And not with your money watching. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But dislikes. I had a few dislikes with this book. For sure, definitely the book, you know, had a very slow start. Very. Yeah, it was hard to read the first 2 chapters, but after that, around halfway through the 3rd chapter, it picks up, and there's like slow parts, waiting and stuff, but nothing too terrible. You know, it's an old book, so you can't really blame it.
You can't expect something from a book written way back when.
Yeah. Last thing I didn't like was I found the end anticlimactic, I think it could have ended a lot better. I guess that kind of goes with what you said, the lack of gore. I really thought it could have been something a little darker, more morbid or something, because the way it just didn't feel right. Didn't have like
it didn't feel like a real vampire. A real vampire's ending.
Yeah, then it's like now in horror movies we'll see like, you know, the vampire, you know, explodes or whatever, or like everyone dies or something. No, in the story it was very anticlimactic and just fell short. Not that it was bad, but
it could have been better.
It could have had some more action in it. Yeah.
Anyway, so the story is more directed for you who are into gothic horror or horror stories in general. You know, this isn't something you'd want to, you know, you people who like, you know, stories about cowboys and, you know, fantasy stuff would read. This is more like, you know, people who've read like Frankenstein or The Wolfman.
For sure, yeah, I definitely recommend this to anybody who likes horror stories in general. If you like a good kind of suspense thriller or mystery, then I would say pick this up. Not so much on the horror genre now compared to other stuff we have today, but back then I'm pretty sure this was like, ooh, shaking in my pants type thing.
Yeah, of course.
But, you know, it's a classic, so classic horror fans. If you like vampires, check it out. You always got to find out, you know, the original story and stuff. And the final thing to end this off on is rate. How would you rate this on a 1 to 10? 1 being worst, 10 being the best.
1 to 10 scale, I would give this 9 blood-sucking vampires out of 10. 9. I'd give it that number because I would give it a 10 if it moved a little faster and there was gore. I gave it 9 because it stayed true to vampire lore. Van Helsing, that was really cool. And just the story in general had a great plot, had a great storyline. So 9 out of 10 blood-sucking vampires. What would you give it?
I'd give it closer to around an 8. Just because the progression felt, you know, really slow. Also, I was kind of comparing it back to the NES game Castlevania, so it kind of disappointed me a little bit. But there came to a point where I had to realize, you know, alright, the book and the game really don't have much in common, even though it's just Dracula. So after I got past that, you know, the story looked a little bit better, but still, personally, kind of made me a little disappointed. But it's a good read. If I didn't have those expectations, probably would have been higher on my rating scale, but definitely 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10. All right.
Yeah, 8 out of 10. Alright, that's all we got. Hope you enjoy your Halloween. Avoid bats, don't get bitten.
Stay safe. That's for sure.
Stranger danger.
Wow!